Ever feel like life's just one big obstacle course and like someone forgot to give you the map?
Ha! Yeah, we've all been there.
Today's deep dive, we're all about finding that inner compass. That thing that helps us get through, especially when things get tough.
Right.
We're checking out this April 2024 General Conference Address, Jesus Christ at the Center of Our Lives, by Elder Jose L. Alonso. Sounds kind of niche, but hear me out.
Definitely.
Even if you're not, super religious, this one's got some surprisingly good advice for, well, just existing.
It really does. And Alonso gets that. Right away, he's like, look, life throws curveballs. We all deal with loss, with illness, with just plain unfairness.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you crave, like solid ground.
Exactly. He's not pretending any of us have it easy. And that's what I think makes his big question hit home. When those curveballs come, where do we find peace?
And his answer is Jesus Christ.
Right.
Okay, so how do we unpack that in a way that, like, even if we don't follow that specific faith, it still clicks?
I think it's about remembering that everyone deep down needs hope.
Yeah.
We need something to believe in, something to hold on to when we feel like we're falling apart.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, we've all had those moments where we think, I can't do this by myself.
Exactly. We search for something bigger than ourselves. For some people, that's faith. For others, it might be family or their community, even connecting with nature.
Yeah. It's like, maybe I can handle this, but I don't have to. And Alonso, he takes it a step further. He quotes Jesus, right? The whole, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
It's a powerful image.
Even if you take away the religious part of it, it's about finding some peace.
Exactly, even when everything's chaotic.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we tap into that strength?
Well, Alonso uses a story a lot of people might know. Jesus feeding 5,000 people with just a little bit of food. But he focuses on something people might miss.
What's that?
It wasn't just magic, you know? It started with gratitude, acknowledging there's something beyond us at work.
So like admitting we're not the ones in control of everything.
Exactly. There are forces bigger than us. But it's not enough to just acknowledge them. We have to then take action.
So we don't just sit around waiting for a miracle.
No. We do our part. We align ourselves with that hope and let it give us the strength to keep moving.
So acknowledge there's something bigger, and then we take action. But what about when it's on us? Like when we're the ones who mess things up?
That's a good point. It's easier to talk about strength when things just happen to us. Not so easy when we have to be the ones to fix it.
Right.
This is where I thought Alonso's next point was really interesting. He brings up Alma the Younger. He's from the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
Now, Alma's whole story, it's pretty wild, but the takeaway is he goes from fighting against his faith to being super devout.
Oh, wow. So like a complete 180.
Total turnaround.
Yeah.
And the turning point, he hits rock bottom, realizes he can't get out of the mess on his own.
I've been there. It's definitely humbling.
It is. And Alonso uses this to show that a lot of times we turn to something bigger than ourselves when we're in crisis mode. Like that's when it hits us that we need help.
Because we can't always do it all ourselves.
Exactly. Whether it's faith or maybe a supportive group of friends or even just committing to improving ourselves, it's in those tough moments that we're most open to it.
Huh. There's that saying, it gets worse before it gets better. Maybe that's part of it. Like, we have to let go of being in control before we can actually find a better way.
I like that. And the inspiring thing is, with Alma, it wasn't just admitting he was wrong. He actually spends the rest of his life trying to make things right.
Wow.
So even when we make mistakes, and we all do, there's always room to change, especially when we're trying to live a more meaningful life.
Yeah. Like that quote, you can't change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. But even with that hope, forgiving ourselves, it can be so hard,
Oh, absolutely.
especially after we mess up big time. And then there's forgiving other people. That's a whole other level.
You're right. And Alonso's not saying it's easy. Forgiveness, he says, it's a core part of what Christ taught. But it's not just saying no worries and moving on.
Oh, so it's more than just pretending it never happened.
Yeah. It's about acknowledging that, yeah, something went wrong. We can let ourselves feel those feelings, but then we make the choice to let go of the anger, the resentment, that kind of stuff.
So it's more about us, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
taking back our own power instead of letting someone else control how we feel.
Yeah, exactly. When we hold on to anger and resentment, it's like we're letting that person or that situation keep hurting us. Forgiveness is about choosing to move on.
And that takes a lot of strength.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it creates space for, like, good things to come into our life.
Right. It's like hitting reset. But, okay, I know. All this sounds good in theory, but how do we actually do it? Life's messy. How do we find that peace when it feels like everything's going wrong?
Yeah, the million-dollar question right there.
And this is where Alonso comes back to his main point. He says, we have to actively seek out that connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Okay, so that might sound a little vague. What does that actually look like?
It's about finding whatever helps you tap into that deep well of hope and resilience inside you.
So not necessarily about, like, traditional religion, then.
Not necessarily. For some people, it is faith. For others, it could be nature, or art, or meditation, even just helping other people.
It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. What makes you feel grounded? Like you're connected to something beyond all the everyday craziness.
Like an anchor in a storm,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something to hold on to so you don't drift away.
That's a great way to put it. And the more you practice that connection, the easier it gets to find it when you need it most. It becomes this source of strength you can always count on.
That's awesome. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about facing challenges, finding strength, and how important forgiveness is. And it seems like it all comes back to finding your center, like that compass we were talking about at the beginning.
Totally. And remembering you don't have to go through any of it alone, whether it's faith or your community or just taking some time for yourself to reflect. There's always something to help you tap into your own inner strength.
I love that. You've got this. Well, that's it for today's deep dive. But before we go, just remember, you are stronger than you think. And there's always something out there, something bigger than yourself to lean on, whatever that looks like for you. Until next time, keep searching, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.